you've got a few options probably from the 1990s, 1980s. Which one do you pick? Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Cards Against Complexity, together today with Martin Stolberg from Sopra Steria.
Hi, Jan. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you, and happy to have everyone outside, actually. We're at FIBE in Berlin, the FinTech conference, financial services conference, and I think that's where you've been at home for a long time in your career. At Sopra Steria, leading the banking practice. Would love to jump into everything that you're doing in this, I think, very transformative age in financial services. Before we get there, tell us a bit more about yourself and what brought you here, the journey that brought you to, I guess, maybe not only this podcast, but Sopra Steria, where you are today.
Yeah. So, thank you, Jan. I've been actually a consultant all of my life. So started my career in the .com area.
Yeah.
And then started my career in consulting, banking almost all of the time with some small side steps in insurance and telco, but since then banking. Interestingly, money laundering has been a companion of my professional career for more than 20 years. So there's a lot of history but that I have here witnessed the dawn raids at banks, the severe fraud and financial sanctions cases, large international projects. So that was truly interesting and a topic which I, at the starting point, thought just absolutely boring, just those regulatory stuff. Turned out to be highly interesting with fantastic technological opportunities like we discussed today here in Berlin.
And there's, as boring as it might sound to somebody not deeply into anti-financial crime and anti-money laundering and whatnot, there's so much excitement and I guess so many challenges, so much to learn, so much data analytics and whatnot, AI right now coming into the mix. We'll go into this in a second. Before we do that, we'll play a round of Cards Against Complexity, and I'll open my cards here for you to see.
Could not be more excited.
Yes, that's always like a careful excitement when these cards come up. But I peeked at them, so I know roughly what's here. For you, it's a little surprise. So, Cards Against Complexity, for everybody who doesn't know this and listening in now for the first time, it's just like Cards Against Humanity. There's a card with a sentence, and we have to complete it. You actually have to complete it. And the options you've got are 3. They might not be ideal, but you got to choose one. Let's see what we've got under this card. So, well, this might fit. You're modernizing the legacy systems that a bank uses since 1985. Your client requires that, let's see, all your AI solutions are installed via floppy disk. I actually started one. I started programming when there were floppy disks, so that's good fun. Especially when you push one and then you take one out and put the next one, and after 20 disks, you've got Windows running, something like this. So your entire tech stack runs, this is a great one, on Windows XP. Whoever was excited about that system at some point and then forgot the excitement, similar to NT. All software you use looks like a green screen terminal. So, you've got a few options probably from the 1990s, 1980s. Which one do you pick?
So the fun answer would be yes. Let's put a LLM model on floppy disk and can imagine the file of floppies. So that's obviously not the one that I would choose. I would actually go for the green screen terminal because the technology behind is still the modern one. And hey, nice UI is fine.
Yeah,
but it also works on green screen monochrome terminals.
Yeah. As long as it works and as long as that's predictable, reliable, and does what it needs to do, I guess there's something to a green screen. Also, I don't know, maybe it's better for the eyes or might you see it better. Like people have these kind of different screen colors now for not being so distracted from blue light. That's a different conversation, but let's say we don't have to use green screens. We actually can use some current technology. You're in the middle of many of these transformations today with yourself, your teams, the clients you serve. Maybe pull us a bit into this. You said you're a consultant for your life. Pull us a bit into this day-to-day life right now in banks transforming. What are the challenges they face right now, and what's the exciting part about the transformations that you see these days in banking organizations?
maybe we should extend the podcast time because there's so many aspects to cover. But let's pick one or two.
Yeah.
I mean, the traditional banks. So not speaking of the fintechs here in Berlin, but the banks that have a history of 50 or more years. Of course, they're all eager to transform their businesses, their technologies, their user front ends. But there's a ton of technical and procedural debt that they carry. So how do you do this large-scale transformation? And we all know it from the press. There's so many programs that have either been extended or failed. So where to start? And my key learning from the past is don't start with technology, start with the culture. Start to address the change in people's minds. So that will help a lot. And then step by step, you can do it. So that is that part. On the other hand, no bank will go from mainframe in the basement to cloud native. So there will always be a way of managing where do we start, what do we keep, in which areas do we go a bit further, and what is the client perception of this? How does the client benefit from what we're doing? What is the regulatory opinion? Not everything that is nice and shiny is also being accepted by auditors and regulators. So it's always be look where the client is. It was fantastic for consultants, and find an individual, manageable, cost-efficient solution.
Yeah. And that's, the combination of getting the culture, the client along, getting the technology along with that, making this in an environment where regulatory measures and intervention and rules are part of your day-to-day. Let's look at some specific examples. So, like if I look at banking, right, one of the biggest shifts next to AI and technology is, for me as an end customer, or for me as a business, as a client of a bank, the user experience has really changed over the years. At the same time, we've got regulation underneath this, and AFC, AML, whichever we take, is part of the user experience in some shape or form, because in the end you have to check the user. How do you deliver a great user experience in now this kind of new technology field with a regulation that is still growing?
All of the customers, they want to trust the bank, but no one wants to be on the user front in touch with regulation. So the best anti-financial crime measure from a client perspective is the one that is entirely invisible to the client, because it all runs in the middle and back office. And whenever something happens, like a fraudulent attack or so, then my bank notifies me immediately. This is what we touched on in our digital banking experience report recently as well. This is the way how financial well-being is being perceived by the clients, that they feel secure on the one hand, so the traditional role of a bank, whilst taking benefit from technological advancements. How can I configure, simulate investments that I plan? So it's a bit of both. The secret world of anti-financial crime combined with a new world of investment possibilities.
Let's have that hidden complexity. So ideally, as a customer, don't see any of this. Now, there is the real complexity of actually building this, maintaining it, growing it in an existing bank, but also, for example, in a fast-growing fintech. Trust is important. Those complexities are important to get right. You were just on stage with a regulator, and this is not only true in Germany, it's true around the world. It is an interplay. Technology is moving, regulators are moving. Where do you see, assuming that it's only back end, where do you see the possibility for companies to move fast and apply technology like AI already on this kind of very regulated and compliance-heavy turf, versus where do we just have to actually use the old school system, and maybe not green screens, but paper and humans in the end?
You're perfectly right. It's literally two worlds, not colliding, but coming very close together. And yes, there are some tech-savvy fintechs like Klarna, because it's public knowledge they're very into AI, want to really move fast forward, and that there's this regulatory expectation. Okay, I need to understand it needs to be properly documented. There needs to be some traceability. I guess from my personal opinion, it's the dialogue. Sounds rather boring, but that's a fact. Present what you're going to do, be in a dialogue with auditors and regulators. secure support from tech companies, and then move forward at an acceptable pace. I guess sounds very simple, but that's it in the end.
Yeah. So move forward at an acceptable place. Now, we've seen some regulation come in Europe quickly and work well. We've seen other regulation maybe coming in too heavily. Some regulation coming in late and early. Where does that pace sit? Like, and what does this conversation look like? I don't know. For example, in crypto or in rather new digital operational directives. What's the right speed?
Well, there's a fantastic instrument, in my opinion, on the EU level, and this is the public hearing and discussions. So draft papers are being issued in Brussels, and then there's an opportunity to broadly discuss this, and feedback is being gathered from naturally banks and other interest groups, but also from consultancies like Sopra Steria. So everybody can have a word, and feedback is being fed into those documents. I guess from my perspective, that's the right way for Europe. Be ambitious in regulation, but listen to those who are being affected by that regulation.
And now I'm sitting in a company and this regulation hits me, right? And now I've got to implement it. Let's say I'm a bit early in my career, right? I did my degrees, I got my certifications. I'm really excited to now, build the next wave of AFC AML in this bank. Where do I start when I implement change? And I would say, let's not take the worst case example of a system that's really all outdated, but let's say there's technology that can change and some people that can change. How do you advise your clients to go about this change when a new regulation comes in that is a bit bigger, that really changes a bank or an institution?
I mean, naturally, if you're really early in your career, I would rather encourage you to move forward, to be fast, to be bold in that technology, and either within your organization or from other third-party players, benefit from the experience that is already there, seeing the broader picture, connect dots between technological advancements, new products that are to be launched, new markets that are to be entered, and the regulation and the security that is also needed. So use the network effect.
Mm-hmm. So collaborate with others, collaborate with the consultants, I guess, naturally.
Of course, but there also have other options.
So take me through this. I mean, I haven't been in the seat, but let's say I want to do this. How do I learn all of this? Because right now it's happening at an incredible pace. You've done this for a lot of years now as a consultant. You've always got to be at the front of this. Yeah. How do you keep yourself up to date? How do I, when I join into an organization like this in early in my career, how do I keep abreast of all that change and all the new regulation, but also the new technology?
Well, it's in the end orchestrating the network. So as a consultancy, of course, we are in touch with many clients. We have many dialogues beside current projects that try to look 3 or more years into the future and to just anticipate, okay, if this happens and that happens, what would be the scenario like, and then have a solution for that in mind.
Mm-hmm. And let's say a new person joining your team, maybe your earlier self. What would you tell Martin 20 years ago, joining a consulting journey, a financial service institution these days? Where would you focus the energy? Like, where should someone newly coming into the industry right now focus their energy and see growth for themselves?
If the younger Martin would join my company, I would immediately throw in a quite demanding project to get this consulting mindset, but really to boost his learning curve. I would really set demanding objectives for him, whilst securing, of course, his background, but let him learn, let him make mistakes. So very similar how you train AI as well. So let the system run, set some guardrails, and have it learning from figures.
And that's not only an AI, that applies for humans, and those humans are part of the change. Let's zoom out of this a bit. We're today, I mean, this is 2025. We're at 5 in Berlin. We're seeing financial services institutions. Like I had someone earlier here today, 400 years of banking in the institution, and then you see other companies that just came out of nowhere. All of them are leveraging AI right now. All of them have to go through the regulation challenges. Where do you see, let's say 5-10 years from now, the industry going? Is this a fintech industry? I think there was a poll outside there actually. Is this a bank industry and institutes actually do something? Is there something new?
Well, the bold statement would be, years ago, the bold statement was banks are a piece of software. So the next generation statement would be banks or the bank corporations will be replaced by AI. And there was a guy from PayPal at the beginning.
Dan Zimmerman was on stage.
Exactly, who make very bold statements, but I guess there's a lot of truth in it. So the good advice is to really be prepared for the change gradient that is ahead of us. And think neither you nor me can really imagine how fast the change will be, but for sure it will happen.
Yeah.
So we better be prepared, and banks better free up some resources and capacity to evaluate how AI can help them.
Yeah. What Dan said earlier is AI is going to replace you, right? Like he said, basically there's going to be human agents, but if there's 5 great human agents in 30, those 5 will train AI and then AI will replace you. Maybe AI will not replace all the banks. Sometimes we still have to adhere to some regulation and some.
The framework will remain, but the operations people, front, middle, back office, my personal opinion is most of them over time will be replaced by AI. And what remains for the humans, which is very important, is the control function. And we heard that from Bathin as well. That will not go away.
And that will not go away because the regulator doesn't want it to go away, but also the end user, the end customer doesn't want to go away. We want the trust. We want that organization to change, though, with technology, because it's in the end benefits everyone. Very, very exciting and insightful episode, I find. Thanks so much for the conversation. We didn't install Windows XP. We didn't use the tower floppy disk to get AI in there. That's maybe for another time. But I think we have the green screen back in one organization in the future.
Let's have a look at eBay or so, whether green screens are still available.
I would love to have actually check this out. And from time to time, I actually love hacking on the side. I mean, that's something when you build a software company and you like engineering. I mean, you've got a lot of technology there. Maybe we should play with a green screen one day. Cool. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy FIBE. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for mine as well.
And thank you, everyone, for joining and listening in. And everyone online, this is going to be shared in a second. We'll actually share the survey and your report as well, all about experience in digital banking. And thanks so much. Enjoy the evening over here. I think it's soon party time. Excellent.